Buckley. I'm a Slavic language and literature major, and I studied abroad in St. Petersburg, Russia for a year. Taking classes in Russia was comparable but still really different from UCSB because all the classrooms were a lot smaller. We would have classes of typically 20 students at the most versus a lecture hall of several hundred. And I would say probably the most drastic difference would be in the language program when all the classes were completely in Russian. Before I went to Russia, I studied Russian for one academic year here. After that academic year, I wouldn't say that I could converse in Russian very well. I was still very limited, but I could get around a lot easier, and a lot of the students who had not studied Russia at all entirely, when they got there and started studying it, found it a lot harder, but a lot more intense too because they were required to learn it immediately on the spot to get anything done. As a Slavic language and literature major, basically every class I took over there transferred. The only thing about it was when I got back I had to get a bunch of syllabuses for every class and just go to my academic department and petition all of them, and basically completed the major after that year. When I first studied abroad, I actually wasn't a Slavic and language major. I was a global studies major, and from my time studying abroad, I realized that I wanted to specify in that area of the world, and the classes transferred over conveniently, but that wasn't the only reason. I was on track to graduate as a global studies, but it helped me realize what I was passionate about. All of the professors that we had there were Russian natives to either Moscow or St. Petersburg, and so if any of them knew English, they knew it as a second language, but most didn't know it. I think probably the biggest difference between the two is when learning Russian, they couldn't explain a grammatical concept in English. The only way to explain it was in Russian, and that made it difficult for some students who didn't have a proficiency in the language. But it wasn't impossible. I would say most of the classes were seminar-based, and people were encouraged to talk, and that was a big portion of your grade. They were also a lot more formally set up than in America. It was completely unheard of to wear hats indoors, to eat in class, or anything like that. And when referring to the professor talking to the students, it was always in a very formal form, which in Russian is a completely different use of words. If you're a Slavic language and literature major, I absolutely encourage you to study abroad, because without that, I feel like you would be missing an integral part of what the major has to offer you. With studying abroad, you experience the culture that all of your studies focus around.